But women don't necessarily, you guys don't necessarily have to work for us to really, like, to get to love you. You know what I mean? Like, us, it is a requirement. Be it you believe in the Bible, be it just life in general. A man is loved based off what he can do. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as for somebody you love. Because could you be with a man that doesn't work, doesn't drive a car? Why? But why weren't you raised that way?
I wasn't raised that
way. Yeah, but why weren't you raised that way?
Because I can drive a car and I can work.
But I love you. Doesn't love conquer all?
We got to eat.
But I love you.
That's wonderful. I have love for myself.
Exactly, and that's my point. And that is exactly why a man must work. But a lot of our relationships, especially like in our community, is like that, where a woman comes home from work slaving 12 hours, her man on the couch playing fucking Madden.
Or having changed the air filter.
Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, that, you know what I'm saying? So, like, because we're taught to look at our women like our mothers, you know what I mean? Versus that one that takes the lead and stuff. So what happens when we don't take the lead? And we talked about our women. When we don't do shit, they will have no problem coming in to do it. And
you give certain advice to this friend, knowing that it's going to hinder their relationship. It's going to distort her view of things when you know that there was nothing going on there. You're planting seeds because you yourself are alone and possibly miserable, and that you don't want to, misery loves company. So you tend to just play victim, and then you believe that every woman is going to experience the same shit that you've gone through.
Roll me, Mac.
my thoughts on the sisterhood.
First off, I think it's great that a group of people are able to, ride together as you navigate through this shit called life that we go through on a day-to-day basis. I'll say this though. Listening to individuals make sound judgments based off of emotional reactions is a recipe for disaster, and that's for any group of people. Okay, so when I think of the sisterhood, I think of like the group of women that band together no matter what, and they don't hold themselves accountable. So my thoughts on the sisterhood is that it's leading certain women who have faith in their sisterhood, this particular style of sisterhood that is, and it's putting them on a path of destruction, especially when it comes to relationships. Now, here's to the sisterhood's point. A lot of the men, I believe they come across are not necessarily, a lot of them, let me say this way. A lot of the males that they come across are still boys trying to figure this shit out, right? So a lot of the studies, I believe, that it's based upon within this particular group of women is based off of individuals who are still trying to figure out life, and not so much as ones that has necessarily matured. And I'll speak to our community, the Black community. The sisterhood, like I said, I love that they're able to band together and just ride for one another. But you gotta be honest about shit. You have to be honest about a lot of the things that we tend to do. When you see that your friend is in a solid relationship, right? And then you're that friend that believes you give certain advice to this friend, knowing that it's going to hinder their relationship. It's going to distort her view of things when you know that there was nothing going on there. You're planting seeds because you yourself are alone and possibly miserable, and that you don't want to, misery loves company. So you tend to just play victim, and then you believe that every woman is going to experience the same shit that you've gone through. That all men are dogs, all men are the same, and all that shit. But when you genuinely see your friend happy, like your friend is genuinely, she found somebody to compliment her happiness. Let's be clear on that. She's found somebody that compliments her happiness very in a genuine way, and then you see that, and then you want that for yourself. So because you're not able to have that, you decide to destroy said thing, and then once you created such destruction, then you've acted in a way that justifies your theory on said men, and a sisterhood can be quite toxic in that form. Not holding yourselves accountable with, especially when you've been with a guy that was literally about you, but because he was boring, he did all the things that you wanted. You said that you wanted, but it wasn't a challenge for you. He was, he didn't have that edge to him. And then you're basing all men based off of the ones that you feel you're not able to get. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's plenty of men that would love to love you. You know what I'm saying? But you're attracted to a certain type of personality that isn't necessarily best for you. Call it your imprint. You know what I'm saying? Like, the sisterhood can be talked about at so many levels. So I'm trying to cover as much as I can off the dome. As you know, I don't write none of this shit down. It comes off my head. But like with the sisterhood, it's not no matter if that woman is like at fault, you're still riding for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, in situations where, perfect example of like a sisterhood situation. So Will and Jada, right? And granted, this is all fictitious, it's entertainment, but let's say let's say in the real world scenario, a man gets caught fucking around, right? In his marriage. He's a dog, he's the worst thing ever, right? This is what some aspects of sisterhood will do. She had to get hers or whatever, or she wasn't happy at home. Like, you're dismissing the fact that she broke trust in her relationship. She broke vows that she took. She did all these things, but you justify the fact that Jada can be with a younger man. That's another thing too. Like, a woman being with a younger man is okay. You're cheering for that shit, right? But if a man were to date, you know, like a younger woman, then there is backlash for that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you do that? Because it's all about you. You know what I'm saying? It's about you as the woman. And this doesn't pertain to every woman, but the woman who is offended by this is pertaining to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that you're okay when the rules work for you, but when it's for everybody else, you know, then it's an issue. You know what I mean? And sisterhood has a lot of toxic traits, right? Is it create that toxicity amongst one another, like enabling a woman that it's got a happy home, right? She's got a happy home, but like sex life, perfect. That's another perfect example. Like the show Sex Life, she had the guy that had the you know, the dynamite job. She, you know, great father. He was, you know what I'm saying, like overall just a good dude, and wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It was not enough. Her mind started to wander. She started to think about the edgy times, you know what I'm saying, the times she used to have with the Chads, or I think his name was Brad in this situation. But justifying, like the comments that came with that show and the justification for her actions by other women is what we're talking about. Again, the toxic form, the toxic things that come from the so-called sisterhood. And like I said, banding together when things go wrong is understandable. I believe that it's great to have that. Like, if you're fortunate enough to live this life and have a group of people, whether it be your brotherhood, sisterhood, people you work with, you know what I'm saying, family, when you go through shit and you got people, you got a support system, you are a very blessed individual. Some of us don't have support systems. You know what I'm saying? So if you do have this type of support system, you are definitely a very blessed individual. However, holding each other accountable is something that I believe that the sisterhood could definitely use a lot more. This aspect of the sisterhood, okay? Like encouraging poor behavior from women when they're dealing with men who don't want anything more than to just make you happy, which is mission impossible, by the way. It's mission fucking impossible, because you're not able to make anybody happy. And that's not a man-woman thing, but yes, in a man-woman thing, yes, mission impossible, never fucking satisfied, you know what I'm saying? But even still, the only person that can make you happy is yourself. You know what you want, you know what I'm saying? And it's not fair to put that person's happiness, and like for me to put my happiness into the hands of another person, you know? But going through life and being like, this is my best option? Hypergamy is real. Hypergamy is very much a real thing. And if it's the first time hearing the statement, Google the shit. Understand what it means to know about like hypergamy. And the sisterhood is, like I said, there's advantages and disadvantages. But I truly believe that certain aspects of the sisterhood is destroying families. You know what I'm saying? Is destroying women's outlook on relationships and how they, you know, how it encourages them to behave like bad men. You know what I'm saying? Like men who display poor traits. And then for that to be done with women, you know, and then for women to kind of, I don't know, egg this on, this sisterhood thing. And it's creating toxicity. Now, yes, don't get me wrong. Some of us men are certainly creating toxicity in our behaviors. What do we get when we're both doing fucked up shit, right? It's understand. It's about having, I would say, I guess, healthy boundaries. Despite how toxic it may be at times, I love the way women like gather around one another when they go through shit. Break up, fuck it, let's go get wine. Fuck that nigga dresses, and sit around. Whatever the outcome is from fuck that nigga type shit. You know what I'm saying? But there are certain aspects of it that input toxic ideology when there are really men out here that are really on their purpose, working on their shit. And you're so used to the ones that give you shit, give you hell. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, and I think Tyler Perry, even though he put a lot of toxic shit inside his movies, I love this one scene on Why Did I Get Married, the first one, where Marcus says to Angela, you're so used to losing, you don't realize when you've won. And you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of women who are not, they're so anticipating the pending doom that they begin to self-sabotage. And then you end up manifesting everything it is that you've been thinking about. You behave in a way that is going to put you in a situation where you're going to get that that type of reaction from for your life. And we all do it because we become what we think about. But in the sisterhood, a lot of times I believe women tend to they think this is the best they can do. They really do. Whether that's being with a functional alcoholic, whether it's dating married men, whether it's being with the guy that you have to raise, whether it's being with people that do not value you, people that do not know how to treat humans in general, because again, they're only doing what they've been taught. They're mirroring the behavior in which they saw. And a lot of times you'll see that, man, and then when something seems like it's too good to be true, it's because you put it on a pedestal. And maybe it's something that you've never seen before. However, leaving your comfort zone is not easy. And taking a chance on things is understanding that people are still human. Despite they might have a lot more going for themselves, remember that they're still flawed just as you are. And a lot of times those friends, those personalities in, I would say, said sisterhood, this particular sisterhood part we're talking about, is see, I told you men ain't no good. It's you were anticipating. Did you want your friend to succeed, or did you want your friend to be miserable and go through fuck ups like you? Like what you did. You know what I'm saying? What are we doing here? What are we promoting? What are we looking forward to? What are we wishing upon people? Do we want people to succeed and genuinely be happy, or do we want them to be miserable like us because we feel like that's the best we can do? Playing victim is the thing for us to be. I believe that we're better than that as people. Like I say, my thoughts on the sisterhood, a lot of toxicity that goes into it, and people miss out. They really, really miss out. They miss out on chances to better themselves, let alone be with somebody, be with somebody that complements their life. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's where mental health really plays a part in that. As far as what we were exposed to in our childhood and what we believe is what we we do what we deserve, even though deserve is a crock of shit to me. You know what I mean? I don't really care for that word, deserve, but a lot of us carry ourselves in a way we feel like this is what we deserve. And the more you work on yourself, the better you'll attract. So I say this to the sisterhood. I love the fact that you galvanize around each other when you go through shit. However, I would suggest that you look at things from multiple lenses and to look at things from perspective and not one way, like right and wrong and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And now that we've covered the sisterhood, I say this to any other group of friends, maybe, and like I said, all male groups, mixed, like co-ed fucking friend groups and stuff like that. The things that we say to one another, and believing that this is it, this is the way, the only way. But to look at things from multiple perspectives, because we tend to look at things from that of a child's mindset, thinking that everything revolves around us. You know, our ego is our initial response, playing victim about things. So those are my thoughts on like the sisterhood. I love women. You know, I love how women stick together. I just believe there's healthier ways of doing so. And I trust that, you know, the women that want to better themselves will work at that. They'll get better.
Hey, what up, everybody? Yeah, do me a favor real quick. Just hit like, subscribe, and of course, comment if you have anything, you know, obviously.
My preference, I would say, is that of a woman that would want to be home. You know what I mean? Because what I'm working towards is having it to where, hell, if anything, none of us have to work, and all we fucking do is travel. To be honest, that's what would be ideal for me. That's why I would say why I'm working so hard now at the many endeavors in which that some I speak on, some I don't speak on. But for the life that I would like to have, ultimately one day, it would be for the woman to not work. But, you know, manage it. Like I said, being at home, being able to manage a home, whether that's her kids, I mean, my kid's grown, but or let's say future kids or anything like that. Being able to manage that, I believe kids operate in a lot healthier when there's a parent in the home to monitor with their behaviors and all that stuff. I mean, there's been studies on that too, but I mean, even just thinking about it, it makes sense to do so. I mean, I know that I grew up in a home where both parents worked, and I got into shit. I'm not gonna say that they didn't teach me to do that, but it gave me the opportunity to do so. And if I could do it differently, I know that, especially if I were, like I said, if I could do it differently, looking back and raising myself, I would love for my mother to have been, you know, like at home and stuff like that, you know, while my father went out and worked, but then come home and then engage with me and teach me all the lessons that it is to be man, so that when I become of age, that I'm prepared for this shit and not sprung on what the fuck am I supposed to do when I hit with life, you know, which has happened. And to not just myself, but other young men trying to figure this shit out, and even young women, you know what I'm saying, like being raised a certain way and then coming into the world and be like, now what do? I got my deer in the headlights, and you know, you try to call home, and mommy and daddy ain't gonna be able to do everything for you. A woman being at home is, I would say, more ideal for the lifestyle that I intend to, I'm building towards. And but I also don't want to be the one that's working 12 to 14 hours a day in my later years. You know, I'm fairly still young, almost 40, but fairly still young, and and just building right now. So getting to a point in life where I can travel. If something's going on with family, I can fly to them drive to them, whatever it is, and there's no real issue. I'm not tied to anything. Don't get me wrong, somebody's always going to be above you, but like to the point where I'm not a slave to working a 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? I'm working because I choose to, not because I want to. Pretty much figuring out how to make money while I sleep is the objective, is the goal. So yeah, just focusing, truly just focusing on that. But I mean, ideally, like I said, the homemaker lifestyle, I mean, what that means to me is not saying that, you know, she's not able to have like her own business or anything like that. Like, you know, something like that, you know, like she can run her own business from the house, but it doesn't take much of her time. But as far as being out there in the, like I said, in the real world, working 12 to 14 hour shifts, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to every woman that does that, bro, for their family, and that, you know, single moms and just women in general who out there just really grinding, trying to survive out here, because, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's very challenging. It can be very challenging. And, you know, and trying to work, you know, multiple hours and then try to be a parent to your children is a challenge in itself. And I don't think it was designed to be that way, you know? So when I look at situations as such, I believe it's my duty as man, 1, to provide, 2, to lead, 3, to protect, and a whole other list of numbers of things that I believe men are to do. And I truly believe that I would say a family is most effective where the man works outside the home or inside the home. However, you know, it goes. Like, if you savvy with technology and, you know, you can work from, you know, like if your job is like computer and shit like that, being able to be present with your kids. I fortunately was someone that worked a lot, and I wasn't present with my kid in the home. I mean, I was in Florida, she was in Michigan or Virginia. The way the opportunities were given to me at the time, I was so hell-bent focused on the providing aspect, but I neglected you know, not purposely, but I neglected the aspect of just being there. You know what I'm saying? Kids don't care about how much money you make. They don't care about, I mean, when they want something, it matters, but like, they don't give a fuck about that shit. They just want their parents around. You know what I'm saying? You want them to be present in their life. It makes such a total difference. All those toys and shit will fade away. The relationship you build with your kids is eternal, you know? And when you're working a lot, it's challenging to try to build that connection with one. So like for me, I just believe that works most effective when the man's out working, but working towards something so he doesn't have to work, which is what I will say I'm doing. And then, though, I believe that a woman being at home is a preference. I'm not saying like for women that do work, you know, it's not the spot or whatever, but it's a preference. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me. That's just, like I said, that's just me. And I have no problem, like, once I'm done working, coming home and taking pressures off of like I said, the lady in my life. You know what I mean? The fact that whatever you've been doing all day in the house, keeping this house up, making this house a home, number 1. You know what I'm saying? And so to come home and being able to take the load off, and then even, you know, interchangeable, because I mean, I probably had a, you know, challenging day at work too, but we just feed off of each other's energy like that. We make each other feel seen, heard, and loved, and knowing how to ask questions. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, not having any expectations, no entitlement, and no ego. That's the challenging thing to do, because we tend to treat those that we truly love like how we were growing up, you know? So a lot of us didn't come from consistent homes of like love, you know, like we didn't see consistent forms of love. It came very spotty. So abandonment sometimes can come about. But I think that once we understand it's an inside job, that things work a hell of a lot better. And like I said, I know I'm working at that. I believe I'm truly working at that. However, for this topic, my preference is definitely, if it had to choose between the career woman or the woman that wants to, that would prefer to be at home, and like, whether that's, like I said, that doesn't mean she doesn't work at all, but she prefers to stay, like she can work from home, where she can tend to things in the home, like, and again, if there's like kids or some shit involved, she's able to tend to them, and yeah, I just feel like it tends to be most effective and most stress relieving. I think for all parties included. But again, I don't have everything all figured out. This is just preference in my mind. But that's what that's what I'm sharing. Which teacher was the meanest but taught you the most life lesson? The meanest teacher that I had would probably be Coach Lee, right? Nasman, and I'm not sure if he's still alive, but if he is gone, God rest his soul. But if he's still alive, shout out to Coach Lee. Coach Lee gave it like it was. Don't get me wrong, he was humorous. He was humorous about shit, but he was no nonsense. If we were talking too loud, okay, we're gonna play the game. If you talk, I'll write you up. Like a referral or whatever is what he would do. And he kind of, I used to, being a comedian and shit like that, I tried to be at least. He looked like Stan from Martin. So I would, always make these jokes or whatever. I was talking about Martin. I love Martin too, like the TV show. But he really gave like so much straightforwardness. You know what I'm saying? Like he like I said, he wasn't about the games. He really just gave it to us straight. And if we didn't have something, that's on you, player, type thing. So it forced you to be responsible, to be accountable. And he was a straight shooter with everybody. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get to know him from a football standpoint, but he was also one of the football coaches. But he was just, like I said, he was very straightforward. He cared about us kids. He did, in his own way, but he didn't treat us like babies. He didn't treat us like babies in gym, so he made sure that we did, like if we didn't have our shirts and shoes or whatever, nah, fuck that. Get out of here, type thing, you just written up for the day. But he was, he did exactly what he came to do, as far as like dealing with us kids, showing us how we have to be responsible for ourselves getting older. And he was just, like I said, he had a very very mean demeanor about him, but at the same time he showed us how to be responsible. So I thank Coach Lee for that. Amongst other teachers that I could name, like Miss Green in 6th grade. Miss Green was mean as shit too. John Yates Middle School, but she cared about kids. That's one thing I can say. She was tough as shit, boy. She definitely operated her masculine, no joke. But she loved children. She took care of a lot of kids. in her own way too. So Coach Lee and Miss Green, I appreciate you. What are your thoughts on a man turning to his woman to make decisions? I'm not for it. Yeah, I'm not for it. Here's my ideology on it. And like I said, my life has definitely changed in the last 5 years as far as my view on life and how I carry myself as a man, right? So for me, I'm not going to ask your advice on most things. I'll be honest. What I'll do is take into account your thoughts about something later on to make a decision, if that makes sense. Like, let's just say, you know what I mean by that? Like, babe, what do you want to eat? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to listen, number one. That's one of the things that I would say one of the common complaints that women have for us men is that we don't listen. So I'm going to be able to listen, and as far as like understanding your wants, needs, especially desires, and then going to implement that into how I execute going forward. So as far as like turning for advice, I know some men they look at their women as their best friend. By all means, I respect that, but I believe that my woman is looking to me to lead. Okay, so it doesn't mean that I'm not gonna. I don't want to make it seem like I'm never gonna ask my woman for advice. It's not gonna be like every question out of my mouth thing is turning to you. Because if I'm always turning to you, then who the fuck do you turn to? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't believe there's, like, for a woman to be with a man is because she intends for him to lead. You know what I'm saying? For a woman to be with a man is for him to lead the relationship, right? And if I'm constantly going to her, then she's making most of the decisions. Everything runs around her frame. And unfortunately, things change. You gotta understand that I'm gonna say most women operate off of their emotions, right? 1 minute here, 1 minute there, 1 minute there, right? We as men have to. That's why our word is our bond. All right, so our word has to mean something as men. You know what I mean? Like, it's not to say that a woman's word doesn't mean shit, but a woman has the right to change her mind at any given moment on something. So it is up for us to as men to lead and have a firm idea of what we're going to do. Otherwise, it becomes haywire. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many men get into arguments? How many couples get into arguments because a man tried to please his woman by doing what she wanted to do, and then she changed her mind? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that only women do this, but it's very common, and women practice to do so, you know. And for us men that lead, you know what I'm saying, that choose to lead and make it a point that we're going to lead, and we're not going to look like a deer in the headlights when it comes time to make decisions. Our word has to mean something. If we say something to someone, we must do what we said we're going to do, right? Regardless of that person likes what we have to say or not, it is important for us to pretty much tell the truth, okay? Whether about how we feel, whether about something that we're going to do, even something that we did, for that matter. Men that turn to their for their women for advice on things, like I said, I prefer to turn to my group of men. You know, I would go to my council, my brotherhood, and not like the toxic form. I know we talked about the sisterhood and toxic form, but literally like a group of men who operate in their masculine mostly. We have both, of course, but the group of men that operate in their masculine mostly, and turning to one another and being honest with one another about that, holding each other accountable. I guess that's probably the best way to put it. I would turn to them as far as like how, if I really did not understand something, I would turn to those men and we would counsel about it so that we can lead. I mean, it's pretty much meeting of the minds, if you will, bouncing off ideas so that we can better lead when we get back to our families, our relationships, dating, whatever the course may be. But as far as like turning to, now don't get me wrong, like if it's something that I know that, like for instance, like me asking my friend's girlfriend or whatever about like, how did you make this particular meal type thing, I'm not opposed to that, like, 'cause if you're really good at this, then of course I will ask, it's best to ask those who are more proficient in that, what I'm saying, to do so. But as far as like making decisions within a relationship, it's taking into account the woman's let's take into account her thoughts on things, but ultimately you making the decision, because when shit hits the fan, it is going to be on you. Or even so, when she makes the decision, it's going to be on you. So it's like understanding that you want to be the one that goes down with the ship, that the one that makes that decision. Now, there's a lot of women that grew up seeing their mom be the final say so, and it's uncomfortable a lot of times to see a man be like the one that does have the final say so, and you tend to clash with them commonly as women that operate in their masculine, their masculine energy, and men that succumb to their feminine energy so that the thing can work. Because I mean, that's how it has to work. There's masculine energy and you got your feminine energy. So if I'm going to choose to, if I'm going to choose to be with you, who operates in your masculine energy as my woman, then in order to make it work somehow or another, that doesn't mean you're like a bitch. It just means that you operate from that of the feminine, and she ultimately makes the decision. Oh, I got to check with the wife type thing. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. And I said that's not a knock on for those that actually live that life. You know what I'm saying? I just prefer, like for me, I guess I'm breaking generational cycles, if you will, of trying to be the man that I believe the universe wants me to be, but God wanted me to be, and leading. And it's not always easy. There are definitely times where I don't have shit figured out, and you make mistakes, but it's observing those mistakes, looking at those mistakes, and then pushing forth. So, I mean, that's how I look at it. But as far as like I said, men that turn to their women for for decision making, like all the time. Like, I'm sure you guys seen in TV shows, babe, where's my shirt? Where did I leave my shirt? Like those bumbling idiot dads that you see in TV shows from like the 90s, where it just seems like the mother she has everything figured out, and there's nobody there to relieve that pressure off of her, and then she just has an episode where she takes off and goes on a vacation with nobody type thing, you know what I'm saying, because she has to figure everything out. I'm not a proponent for that, you know what I'm saying. Like, I believe that it's a team effort, if you will. So I have no problem making decisions and for my life, you know what I mean. Like, and if you trust me to lead, I will make those decisions. And the thing is, you would have to trust my frame. So there's certain things that you might think that you want to do, but if I can see the road ahead going down a certain way, and if I don't feel like that's going to operate in an effective way in my frame, then I'm going to oppose against that move of us doing that move. And I'll take the blame later on, whatever, if things doesn't pan out that way for making that decision. But it's about having the courage to make that decision. So like I said, I'm not I am not a proponent for turning to the wife, turning to the girlfriend, like for for advice head on. I'm trying to figure this shit out myself, and then we'll go to the meeting of the minds with like I said, with other men that know how to lead. You know what I'm saying, and then make said decisions. That I do my damnest to do that. Don't get me wrong. I love to ask questions. I like to listen to the things that I would say, that women have to say, and take into account that going forward as far as like how to engage with one, so that you can better understand them, and so that you can lead without having to ask questions, versus again getting in that tiring argument of, babe, where do you want to eat tonight? That type of thing. Like, oh no, hey, have this attire set by this particular time. We're going to eat here. You know what I'm saying? And if indeed that, I had this conversation one time with a group of friends. A coworker of mine. We went to his birthday party, and it was, there's one woman there operating obviously in her masculine. She wanted to challenge my ideology. So what if you pick a place that I don't like? Then I'll choose another one. And what if I don't like that one? Then I'll choose another one. And what if I don't like that? By that time, yeah, that's it. Like, we're not going through this shit. That for sure. Because at this point, you're not. I don't believe you're doing this out of trying to solve the issue. You're out for irritation. You know what I'm saying? And if that's the case, that does not bring peace to a man's life. So either compliment or you complicate. It's one or the other. So being that you have that personality, I'm going to back the fuck up and allow you to do that to another man, in hopes that he can, he wishes to manage that. Because, don't get me wrong, all women test men for, again, to see if they're capable of leading a relationship. And it's, that's well respected. But we're not doing that shit. Nah, not at all. You know what I mean? So being able to lead, I pride myself on doing so. And every day is try to learn something new as far as like going forward, what can be done as far as men that like being a man that will lead, whether that be at work, whether that be amongst your peers, or of course with someone that you're dating, significant other type things. So that's my stance on, like, as far as like men that turn to their women for like advice for, I would say, mostly everything. I'm not gonna say everything, but mostly everything, like as if they don't know how to function without this woman doing it for them. I'm not a fan of that shit. I've seen a lot of older couples do that, where the woman does everything, gets the, like I said, get the pills out, make sure he goes to doctor appointments, and make sure whoever fixes stuff around the house. And don't get me wrong, it's much respect to those women and their couples that live that way. It's just not a preference for me. I'm not gonna say that's the wrong way of living. It's just not the one that I choose to do so. So that's it. Pretty much my thoughts on that. What makes sex boring for you? Effort. Hands down, just effort. Like, act like you want to be there. Act like it's something that you want to do. Do everything you see in a porn movie. You know what I'm saying? Everybody there understands why they're there, and they are out to achieve the said goal of being the nastiest motherfucker on the scene. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what it is for me. Like, a lot of times, there was one time I remember being involved with a young lady, and just the effort was not there, and I took it because she was older than me. You know what I mean? Like, I was too young to really understand that, so I kind of took what was there. I put her on a pedestal type thing, but she did not. She wanted me to do all the work. Let's just say that. She wanted me to do all the work, and I like I said, as a young man, trying to figure this shit all out, I was up for the challenge. I'm like, sure, I'm gonna give everything I got, and then, yeah, sure enough, it was not the same in return. It wasn't the same in return, but there's lessons learned. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yes, young 20 days, like the late teens, early 20s days of being a young man and trying to figure life out. But that's for me. That's really what makes it boring. It's just like, carry yourself like you want to be there. Like, don't do it. Don't have one of them stony set it off type behavior, like efforts and shit. You know what I'm saying? Now, if anybody's seen Set It Off, you know what I'm talking about. What she did so that she can get the money for her brothers, so her brother can go to college from the one cat in the hood or whatever. But like, give fucking effort. You know what I'm saying? Like, act like you want to fucking be there. Act like you're convey to me all the love in which you have through an intimate level. You know what I'm saying? Like, that to me, effort says everything. Effort makes the difference in every fucking thing. You know what I mean? Carry yourself so damn nasty, I don't even want to look at you in the morning. Like, I'm just, damn, I can't believe we did that shit. That to me, that's my mindset with it, when it comes to from that of like the sexual nature. But when a woman is, she puts forth no fucking effort, like she just acts like, all right, Sarah, get this shit over with type thing. That's not fun. That's not fun at all. You know what I mean? If I can jerk. I got more fun by myself, fucking myself than fucking you. If indeed we're gonna carry ourselves like with no effort. That's how I see it, and it comes off very harsh, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? That's just how that's how I see it. But I think that's what truly. That's only really the thing that can make sex boring is effort, lack of effort, not being in the moment, not being in the present. Being in the present brings about so much for a relationship and anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, just remember to be in the present. If you are hanging with your friends and you thinking about all the shit that you did back in high school, you know what I'm saying, it tore you down, you're not going to enjoy yourself. But if you're right there in the moment, you know what I'm saying, like, you're going to feel everything. You're going to be alive. You're going to come alive. No pun intended. But it's effort. Solely effort. Like, if there's anything that I would say that spruces up, I would say sex is one, a man operating as masculine and being dominant, and a woman that wants to be dominated. So that effort. And if you carry yourself like you don't want to dominate, or a woman carries herself that she does not want to be dominated, then sex will be boring. But when you make that said effort and you carry yourself with that energy, you then create that passion amongst one another. You can say that genuine burning desire comes about when a man operates in his masculine and a woman operates in her feminine, and there's opposites attract in that fashion. So for me, what makes sex boring? Lack of effort.